What's up, everybody? It's Nisha. Ooh, my voice sounds low. I don't know what's going on. What's going on? Let me choose the water. Let's see if that's better. I don't know. Maybe you like it. I don't know. What's up, everybody? It's Niche, and we're back with another episode of the Laughing and Crying podcast. I missed you. Welcome back to my Patreon. I actually paused this video, so I don't even know what I was saying because I was writing things. But I'm just gonna say welcome back. As you guys know, I'm just gonna update you on some things. I have an IG, Instagram, Unleash the Niche. I am mostly on that platform for feedback on the show. I know before I used to give you my email all the time. Emails don't be given what they're supposed to be given. So I'm just going to, for the most part, be on IG now with direct messages and comments on posts in order to get feedback for the show. So catch me over there. It's Unleash the Niche is my Instagram. And also the other half of the time, I'm going to be on Patreon. And I know I've talked about Patreon from the beginning. But that's where I'll be engaging. So a lot of people ask me what Patreon is. Basically, what Patreon is a site where you can support your favorite digital creators in whatever lane they're in. Some people paint. Some people are comedians. Some people have makeup channels. I am a podcaster. I have the Niche Gang community over there on that platform, on that site. And you can donate whatever is on your heart to be a part of it to the tune of something between $7 and $10 a month, which is Starbucks change. Like, you know, it's not anything super extensive, but you support me on my journey. And if you're really passionate about supporting your girl Niche, or you want some extra content thrown in because you're like, man, I love your podcast. I love you're funny, or you just entertaining. I listen to this at my job, at work. Go over to Patreon, donate, support your girl. I'm actually really loving it, and I hope you'll join me. Like I said, I will be over on Patreon and IG for the most part. IG for feedback, and you can just get, stupid little reels from me and post and hopefully encourage your life. And on Patreon, I'll be engaging with the Niche Gang. If you want more content, extra content, I just did a photo shoot, for example. Those photos will be available on Patreon before they're on my IG. My bonus podcast will be on Patreon before they're on Spotify. Any blog videos I do, vlog videos I do. We have videos of me cooking. I mean, it's just like a lot of great content over there that I do put a lot of effort into. Will be on Patreon. And my Patreon link that will take you to the landing page is patreon.com/unleash the niche. Like everything else, Unleash the Niche, you can pretty much put behind any platform and you will find me. But IG is Unleash the Niche. Patreon is patreon.com/unleash the niche. And that's UNLEASH. I shouldn't do it like this. That's patreon.com/unleash the, that's THA niche.com. It will take you to my landing page. Look it up. Even if you don't join right now, look it up. Go there. Patreon.com/unleash THA niche.com. And you'll be able to preview some of the things that I'm doing. You won't be able to see the full post, but you'll be able to preview to see if it's even something that you're interested in. Or if you're like, Niche, I'm not really interested in it, but I want to support you. So here's, my donation. Do it. Because I love you guys and I'm not going to turn it down. I'm just saying. And like always, if you haven't already rated the show, go do that. Leave reviews so everyone will know what we're doing over here and will want to listen to the podcast. Your feedback is awesome. As a matter of fact, shout out to Anna. Shout out to Q, who's also a part of the Niche Gang. So what up, Niche Gang? Ro, Tasha, Big Z, all of you who have left reviews. If I'm missing someone, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, it's not in front of me, but I'm so grateful for your investment either way in this platform and on this show. I had to stop and say that because, listen, big things are happening. Big things pop and little things stop it. That just what came to my head, and I'm sorry that I did that. Anyway, I had to go and update you on the IG, the Patreon, because I want you guys to know about them both. Because if you don't know, how you going to support me? Right. So I want you guys to know about the IG. I want you guys to know about the Patreon. And I want you guys to know that your reviews matter. Shout out to those people again. If I'm missing somebody, I love you. I've probably already told you thank you. I'll shout you out another episode. So, moving the show along. I haven't been here in a minute. I know I'm getting told off by a bunch of people right now. Where is my podcast? Here it is. And up on the show, we have, of course, let me tell you a story. We also have, a conversation that I'm just going to be talking and chatting about, boundaries. So let's get into it. First of all, if you want to know, I haven't been here in a minute because building a platform is difficult. I'm just going to be real. And I talk about a lot of this on my Patreon. I do a whole video on it. Making a podcast, nobody told me, is hard. And I try not to be too transparent about it because I don't want it to make it seem like something I love to do is as hard as it is. But y'all, it's hard. You guys, it's difficult. It's difficult when you have to put out a lot of content, when life be lifing. It's difficult when you have something creatively in your mind that you want to do, but you don't have the energy. So I took a mental break. It honestly wasn't intentional, but when it was happening, I was like, I'm going to let it happen. Because I know the people who support me are going to be here when I get back. And I have to take that approach. Because if I don't, I'll wear myself ragged and thin, and y'all don't want that. I don't want that. So life be lifing. I'm here now. Get myself together, and we're going to put out these podcasts because it's fun. And I have a whole roster of people that I want to be on the podcast because during this time in the space that I've taken, I've been able to do some planning. And so either you're going to be hearing some new voices or you're actually going to get an email from me asking you to be on the show. So watch out for them both. You know what I mean? All right, let's get to this story. I have a good story for you. As a matter of fact, let me record this. Okay, guys, I'm about to tell a story about my whitewater rafting trip. So if you were there, this is a disclaimer. If you're afraid of water, here is your disclaimer. Here is your warning that this may be a trigger for you. So the story that I have for you is I'm trying to remember what birthday it was. It was on my birthday. It was not my 25th birthday. It was not my 28th birthday. So it was either my 26th or my 27th birthday. I actually went to go whitewater rafting. You guys, I was so excited. I wanted to go ziplining because I love ziplining, and I wanted to go whitewater rafting. Okay. Pretty sure it was my 27th birthday. I think it was my 27th birthday. It's not important, but I wanted to remember. And I have a friend, won't name no names, but I have a friend who, is not a fan of the water, has had some traumatic events with water, but she agreed because she also loves the water. So she agreed to come. A couple people who are in attendance, it was a couple other friends and my sister. I'm trying to think of how many because it might be important to the story. So it was my sister, the friend who was not a fan of water, and my sister cannot swim, but she wanted to go. Friend not afraid of water, she wanted to go. I had another friend, and then myself. I think it was just the four of us. I'm hesitant. Yeah, I think it was just the four of us. So, I think that was what the problem was actually, because there's normally 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think there's normally 6 people, and there was only 4 of us. If I'm leaving somebody out, I'm gonna feel so bad. No, I legit think it was just that. It was my sister, my friend who was afraid of water, or not a fan of water. Another one of my friends, myself. Yeah, that was it. Okay, so there's supposed to be 6 of us in a raft with a, I don't remember what they're called. They're called like, I don't know. I honestly don't remember. I'm going to call him a raft leader because I don't really know. A raft leader. Or a rafty guy. I don't know. I'm going to call him a rafty guy. Whatever. Okay, so, theater of the mind. We go do the zip lining. It was great. Amazing. Okay? We were out there zooming through over the water, through the trees. It was awesome. Okay. So then the next thing was whitewater rafting. So of course we go and we get in the raft and everybody's freaked out because they give you this long safety presentation of this is what you do if you fall out. This is what you do if you get stuck under the boat. You crawl like a spider on the bottom of the boat, upside down, fingertips on the bottom of the boat, till you find an edge. You only go one direction because if you change directions, you might just be, going around the boat in circles and you're underwater. You're going to run out of breath. So only one direction. This is how you put your helmet on. This is how you put your PDF. This is how you put your PFD on. Personal flotation device. This is how you hold your paddle. This is how you sit. This is where you tuck your feet. This is all your things, right? On the boat. So they give this huge presentation because it's such a safety issue because it's whitewater rafting. So it's not only water, but it's water going at a really fast speed. So much so that the water turns white. That's why they call it whitewater, right? If you're not familiar, not trying to, womansplain. And there's also jagged rocks underneath the water. So it's not like a pool where it's just the bottom or a lake where it's just the bottom. There's rocks. So there's rocks, there's rushing water, and you're in a raft on top of the rushing water, and it's fun. They have like little drops and whatever. So we get on the boat. We're like fresh off the safety demonstration, right? So we're doing everything we're supposed to do. We go through down the family raft track. We're like, great, this is amazing. And mind you, I had done this at least 3 or 4 times before this time. That's how I knew I liked it. That's why I wanted to do it for my birthday. Okay. So we're going down the family. They have 2 trails. They have the family raft side because it's actually at a center. It's not on an actual river. So it's they use water from an actual river, but it's a man-made center. So the water comes in from the river and recycles back out to the river. So it's actual river water, but the center that it comes into is all man-made. So, okay. We go down the family raft side. Everything was great. We had fun. We got a little splashy splash, whatever. I'm sure you guys can understand what's happening. So we're like, the raft guy is like, hey, we actually have some extra time. You guys want to go down the competition route? It's really not that much different. You guys did such a good job. We had one rafty guy in there. So on the way, the guy was our rafty guy that we've had in there who actually like steers the boat and helps us. And he tells us when to paddle, like when to turn, when to duck down the boat because it's risk of falling out, whatever. So the rafty guy's like, okay, you guys did so great. You went down the family thing. Do you guys want to go down the family thing again, or do you want to go down the competition? We were like, listen, the family thing, it was great, but it was also kind of like, there's a reason they call it a family thing. It wasn't as thrilling as maybe the competition one was. So we were like, let's go down the competition. I had been down it plenty of times. I think the other girl on the boat had been down it once. I might be mistaken, but I could have sworn. And so we were like, listen, it's going to be great. We did fine. It wasn't even as scary as people who hadn't done it before thought it was going to be. So we're like, cool, let's do it. So the rafty guy is like, I'm going to get another rafty guy because technically you're supposed to have like 6 people in this boat and you guys only have 4. I don't know why I'm thinking it's 5 that we had. I need to get off this because I'm not going to remember. Who was in the boat? No, it was just us. Anyway, so we only had 4 people. With the rafty guy, it was 5 people. In this boat, that's normally supposed to be 6 people. Yeah, it's only supposed to be 6 people. And so the rafty guy is like, I'm going to get another rafty guy because some of the people in the boat, you know, didn't have the strongest arms. And he's like, you guys are, he basically tried to play us by saying, like, you guys aren't the strongest women, not the heaviest women. And you guys have to really be able to paddle to do what I'm going to have to ask you to do when we go down the competition route. Like, you guys know how to do it, but you got to like really put your back into it to do it, because otherwise the boat's not going to do what you want to do. It's not going to give what you want it to give. Okay. Anywho's, he gets another rafty guy, not knowing at this point in time that the other rafty guy is his friend. Okay. It matters. So he gets the other rafty guy. Rafty guy gets in his boat with his little paddle. Everything's cool. We start out. All of a sudden, the rafty guy started to like chit chat with our original rafty guy. And so we're over here like, what the heck do we do? Rafty guys, why aren't you listening? Why aren't you listening? Okay, so we go down the competition. At first, it starts out slow. Of course, everything starts out slow at first, even in life, you know, before it kicks you in the butt. So we're in this boat. Everybody's sitting on top. We all having fun. We're like, we did the family route. Here comes the competition route. Rafty guys are in the back in this boat. So they're like, I forget what they say. Like, paddle right or something. Anyway, they have these commands they throw out. I haven't done it in a while, so I don't really remember. Okay, so I kid you not, we barely get like a quarter way down this competition route before everything goes to crap. Rafty guys are not paying attention. Last minute, they do pay attention. They see that we're about to go up onto a rock, like a boulder. And I don't know, nothing's wrong with a boulder, but when you're in a raft and the bottom of your raft goes up onto a boulder, the top half of your raft goes into the water. Okay? So we're going towards this boulder. We all see it and we're like, crap. So we're like, what do we do? This happened so fast. Let me tell you. They're like, do this. So I'm like, I'm sitting next to my sister. I look at my sister and I'm like, we're doing this. Let's go. Like, we go into, me and my sister, like, we have like a tight bond. So we go into like, it's on kind of mode. Like, we go into like fight mode. So we stick our paddles down there. We're like, boom. We got it. Then we're like on the rock. We're like sitting there trying to push off the rock. We're like doing all these things. We're like, we got this, right? I kid you not. We finally like halfway get off the rock and we're like, all right, we're no longer tilted. We're just kind of like, the rock is still kind of like keeping us still, but we're no longer like on an incline. Cause initially our boat collided with the rock. It went on like an incline. So like we were like leaning down, holding on. We ended up got it to a like more level place, but we were still kind of caught on the rock. We would still have to push off the rock. So, you know, we're all out of breath. We're like, we got this. We did it. Me and my sister turn around in the boat. No one is in the raft. No one is in the raft. not my friend who's not a fan of water, not my other friend who I did not mention had all of our phones in her bag. Okay? Neither one of them were in the boat. Both rafty guys, not in the boat. No one was in the boat, or the raft, rather, except me and my sister. Yeah. And so I immediately go into panic mode because I'm like, my friend who's not a fan of water cannot swim. We're looking around in the water. We see 0 people. 0 people. I was like, oh my God. I was like, sister, she can't swim. Where is she? The other girl could swim. And of course the rafty guys could swim. So I wasn't as concerned about them, even though they're still like floating on a freaking man-made river, whitewater with boulders and rocks and jagged rocks. And she had our phones. So, and her bag was not waterproof. The reason she had our phones was because we originally, after the family route, were going to be done with whitewater. So we all got out of the boat, went back on land. We went to go check our phones that we had originally put away. That's when the guy said, hey, you guys actually have some extra time. Do you want to go back out again? And we were like, yeah. And we didn't want to go back to the lockers to put our phones back. So we're like, nothing happened the first time. Let's just throw them in her bag. Most people at this time had water resistant phones anyway. So it was like, if we get a little splashy splash, it's fine. I did not. But I don't think I put my phone in the bag. Yeah, I did not put my phone in the bag. But 2 of the people who had water resistant phones put their phones in the bag. And now this girl is floating down the river. Okay. I am like screaming this girl. I'm like, where are you? Where are you? Where are you? Like screaming her name. Oh my gosh. Nothing. I see nothing. Then all of a sudden, I see the girl who has the phones floating down. And when I say floating, do not think of a still lake. Think of a rushing water. Somebody going like 7 miles an hour as a human being only, going down this river in whitewater. Like, that's what I see. And I was like, oh my gosh. I'm like freaking out. I can only laugh about it now because it was low-key traumatic. Anyway, still don't see the girl who's not a fan of water. Right. And everything's going pretty fast, but we're talking about not seeing somebody who's in a body of water, who cannot swim and who's not familiar with water for like, even 30 seconds is a long time. So at this point, I'm like, she died. She's dead. I don't really know. I killed my friend on my birthday. Like, this is what happened. All of a sudden, I see her head pop up. I'm like, oh my gosh, thank God. Cause she was still like, flailing and whatnot, clearly breathing. And then what they told us in the safety meeting is that they would say, swimmer, swimmer, swimmer. The people on the bank of the river would say, swimmer, 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 to get you out of the water. So you were supposed to lay, I think, on your back so that they could get you out of the water or something like that. And this girl is freaking out. She's like flailing around. She's like, doesn't know where left or right is, up or down, which I couldn't even imagine. Not knowing how to swim, not being that familiar with water in a capacity where you have to like save yourself, then being in rushing water with jagged rocks. Like, come on, don't blame her at all. But still, she's like flailing around. They're like, you gotta help us because we can't get you out of this water, because it's not like they can just jump in. They can't jump in. It's rocks. It's rushing water. So you have to literally be an advocate for yourself or you're going to keep floating down the river. So I see them like grab her. She has like this cut on her shoulder. It's like crazy. And she's like, she lost her shoe because we all had shoes on because we're, this just brings me back. So later on, after the tears and all of the anxiety has leveled out some, she tells us, the girl, first of all, the girl who could swim, who had her phones, she was like, I was freaked out. I was freaked the heck out. She was like, that is not like swimming at all. So she was already like, this is not life. So the girl who was not a fan of water, who couldn't swim, told us that she actually got stuck under the boat and had to like calm herself down. She could not swim. Had to calm herself down because she realized if she freaked out, she would die. Because it's legit. Like, it's a fun activity, but it's, you know, it's extreme sporting. So there's a risk of dying if you're not going to do what you need to do, right? So she had to calm herself down. She had to crawl on the bottom of the boat to get out of the boat because she was stuck underneath of it the whole time. And she's like, literally did not know where she was. And she just felt trapped. And this was my birthday. And I cannot imagine at all being in that situation. Like, what? Anyway, that's the birthday that I traumatized my friends. Yeah. Because I want to do an extreme sport. I almost wished I was the one that fell out of the boat, you know, because I was like, I would much rather have been traumatized on my own birthday, but it didn't happen that way. But anyway, guys, I hope you like that story. There is no happy ending or tying in a bow. She is literally more traumatized about water now, and they all had to get new phones because their phones were not okay. And then we had to have a dinner after because that's what was planned, and we already had reservations, and everybody was like dead silent at the dinner because everybody was so traumatized. It was like a really fun birthday, but at the same time, it's like, it was not fun at all. Anyway, guys, that's my life. You're welcome for that story. Anyway, so now we are going to move into our conversation. And our conversation today is going to be about boundaries. Now, I feel like I am someone who has always had very strict boundaries, but I'm also someone who is currently learning about what boundaries actually are and what they are not. And there's some things that I believe that they were that I realize now they are not. So this is kind of going to be like me reacting to what I've learned about boundaries in the past, really even like 2 years, but especially the last like 2 months. I recently heard, a conversation, given by, or rather a talk given by Lisa TerKeurst. And she is an author, a speaker. But I heard her, and she had this entire spiel about boundaries, a little bit about her. She actually was in a marriage in which a lot of infidelity was involved, and a lot of lying, and a lot of just deceit was involved. She ended up going through therapy and she had a lot of support around her, ended up renewing her vows with the same man. And then not much later, spoiler alert, he did some of the same actions again, and she ended up divorcing him completely. And she talks about her experience with boundaries and like what she's learned about them and what they are and what they are not. And it was just so eye-opening to me. To be a little bit transparent about myself, I have been in a lot of situations in which boundaries were really important. And even more so, my husband and I come from two completely different backgrounds. So what was okay in his background and what is okay in my background were completely different as well. And, you'll learn as the podcast goes on, you'll learn more about our story and about kind of the ins and outs. Not everything, because I'm not going to put everything out in the world, but you'll learn more about how we even got to this place where we're talking on a podcast about our lives. Because there's been a lot of life lessons. There's been a lot of hard lessons. Okay. And so I relate to Lisa TerKeurst in a way that as she talks about boundaries, I realized, man, I thought boundaries were that as well. And she talks a lot about why we need them. So let's start out talking about what boundaries are. So boundaries are something that's put up for protection and safety. In, real world kind of example, we could talk about like medians in a road, boundary to help from cars, accidentally going into the oncoming traffic. We talk about, our front door to our house, our back door to our house that can be locked so that people can't randomly just walk up in. We talk about TSA at an airport. It's a boundary so that only the people that are supposed to be there can be there. That's like a physical world example of a boundary. Now, emotional boundaries are different, where it's still put up for safety and protection, but it's basically more of a invisible or intangible way of saying, you can come here. Same things. You can't actually step into a space that could either hurt me or you. You can't freely walk into a space that's not allowed for you. And these things are here so the people who are supposed to be here can be here. The people who are not will not. And there's emotional ways you can do that in relationships. Okay, so how does this affect us in relationships? Well, sometimes a couple things happen. We can have super strict boundaries that instead of TSA, you have a brick wall from floor to ceiling. So you need to get on a flight and you have to go past this space, but there is no entrance. There is no verification check. There is no qualifications. There's nothing. There's just a wall. Sometimes we think that's a boundary, which it is. But it's not a healthy one. Okay. Then sometimes we think boundaries are, if we're still using the TSA example, hey, I'm coming to get on this flight, right? And somebody at TSA tells me, no, you're not going to New York, you're going to California. And you're like, wait, what? And they're like, it's a boundary. You can't go to New York, you have to go to California. And you're like, but I'm not going to California, I'm going to New York. And so now you're put in a position where somebody's trying to tell you what you can do with your own body and your own space. And sometimes we do that to people. We try to give them boundaries we want them to have, right? And then the third way a boundaries can be is it could be healthy. It could be, hey, we are TSA. You can get through here if you have a flight, if you have the proper identification, if you are not carrying anything that we do not allow, if you are following our rules, you can come into our space. And that's what I'm learning to differentiate, guys. I don't know if that has been your experience at all, if you've gone through any of those different filters of what you believe boundaries are, but that's kind of been mine. So again, being transparent in my marriage and even in some friendships, but like I said, I'm coming from the perspective of being a 30-something-year-old married woman who's a Christian, who lives by faith, who is a millennial, who is in the world of technology and embraces it. This is who I am. So I can only come from this perspective. So in my experience with my husband, like I said, we come from two different backgrounds. And so coming into marriage, sometimes I would want to be like the brick wall. You're not getting through here. And he's like, but I'm your husband. And I'm like, you're not getting through here. I don't trust you. And he's like, but you have to learn to trust me because I'm your husband. And I'm like, prove it. You're not getting through here. Who cares if you're my husband? Who cares if you have a flight, right? Like, you're my husband. We walked into the space. I don't trust you with this. I don't trust you with that. So you're not getting access. And then there were other times where I would be like, I don't want you here. I don't want you there. I don't want you doing this. I don't want you doing that, because you have proven to me that you are not going to display this, A, B, C, D, or E type of character if you have access to those things. And I thought that was like perfectly fine. I'm protecting myself. I'm telling you what you need to do in order to not hurt me. Listen, I've learned over time, it's just wrong. It sounds so right? Like telling somebody, like, if you're going to be my friend, you cannot betray me. Guys, it's not proper boundaries. It's not a boundary. That is an ultimatum. That is kind of, sort of, which I hate it. I want to yell when people say this, but it's so true. Telling somebody what to do. It's going into the category of controlling. And it sickens me to like my stomach, because I'm like, I should be able to tell you that you can't betray me, right? If you're going to be my friend. Like, I should be able to tell you, you will not betray me because you're my friend. I should be able to tell you that. But the reality is, guys, like I said, boundaries are exactly what TSA is. And if this metaphor isn't clicking with you, think about your front door to your house. This is how it was explained to me at one point in time. Boundaries are like having a house with a fence around it. Some people can get through your fence to your front yard. Maybe your pest control guy because you called and you paid him. Maybe your lawn care guy because you called him. Maybe your neighbor who you just met is allowed on your lawn past that fence. Some people are allowed in your foyer of your house. Maybe you're having a party, such and such and so on. Some people are allowed in your refrigerator. Long-term friends, people who you trust, people who you're like, you can have food, go in there and get it, family. Some people are allowed in your bedroom. But think about all those access points, right? You have to have a certain qualification to get through each access point. None of those access points are walls. They all have an entrance and an exit. So a boundary is mobile. And let me tell you what I've learned. And I'm just like, again, reacting to what I've learned a boundary is and how I've been able to implement that in my life. A boundary is a space where somebody has to have certain qualifications to enter. And if ever they lose those qualifications, they exit. So, for instance, I let you in my front door. You stole from me. You are now not even allowed in my house. You can be on the lawn. If I have a cookout, come. You're not allowed in my house. Or maybe you're a person who you're not allowed to the front gate. I'll wave to you on the street, but you're not even allowed through the gate. They can enter and they can exit. Maybe you heal from that situation. Now they're allowed in your gate again. Now they're allowed in your foyer again. Boundaries are not permanent. You're in control of those. But what you're not in control of is somebody else's behavior. I had to learn that. So the reality is, the more access that somebody has to you means the more responsibility that they need to have for themselves. The more accountability that they need to have for themselves. The more access that somebody has to you has to you, the greater the consequence if they lack that responsibility thereafter, which is basically what I just explained. I know, guys, I'm going deep, and I'm like, if you need to pause it, rewind it, because I'm going to keep going deeper because it's blown my mind. And some of these things are things that I personally have related to and been able to like process. Some of these things are things that Lisa TerKeurst says. So there are different quotes in here. It's not just all my personal individual thought. It's definitely me like having some thoughts and also reacting to some of the things that Lisa TerKeurst has said, and also later on the show, some of the things that Brene Brown has said, who are two great speakers and amazing writers. So anyway, Lisa TerKeurst says, the more access someone has to you, the more responsibility and the greater the consequence of that responsibility lacks, which I love. I think a lot of us fall into, and especially me, to me, a boundary was building a brick wall. Okay, so access is basically allowing someone to be close, allowing them to be in your house, allowing them to be in your foyer, allowing them to be in your bedroom, whatever the case may be, right? So if you're talking about giving somebody the type of access to be in your bedroom, they need to have that level of responsibility as well. But not because you tell them that that's what's required. It's because they show you that that's where the responsibility is. That's where their level of responsibility is. So where I'm getting at basically is something that I've learned. It is our responsibility as humans. And for me, because like I said, I live my life by faith. And one of the biblical principles I live my life by is being someone who is self-controlled. I believe that part of that self-control is understanding that the access I give to another person, which is something that Lisa TerKeurst says, the access that I give another person is in my control. And if I'm all willy-nilly, like if I leave my front door unlocked, I leave my gate open, I leave my refrigerator open, and I leave my bedroom door open, and I allow any old person to come in and do anything that they want throughout my space, and then I in turn get upset that they're doing it, that is not their fault. That is my responsibility. It is my responsibility to lock my door. It is my responsibility to answer it. It is my responsibility to latch my gate. It is my responsibility to say, I will get you something from my fridge, or you may go in my fridge. Right? And so one of the things that happened to me, because I am somebody who is like, like, come on in, and like just allowing people to be in my space without first being discerning of who they are, I would get so frustrated and be like, this person hurt me. This person won't do this. This person won't do that. Or I wish you would do this. I wish you would stop taking stuff out of my fridge. I wish you would stop coming into my house when I only want you in my yard, even though my front door is open. I wish. And all that leads to, guys, is chaos and anger. And it's led to that in my life, whether it be with friendship or even in my marriage. I will stress this point again. You cannot control someone's behavior. If you leave your door unlocked, you cannot control whether or not somebody walks in. If you do not set a boundary for someone, you cannot be upset when they don't respect it. You can choose to be upset if somebody doesn't respect it, but it's really and truly in your control. So instead of getting upset, fix your boundaries, right? And I'm saying this to you because, listen, I'm learning this. I started this by saying I'm on a journey to being like, oh my God, my front door has been open for years. You know what I mean? And like, I felt the frustration. I felt the anger. I felt all of the things. And then like in response to, not having the boundaries, at times you become a nag. Stop, whatever it may be. Stop betraying me. Stop treating me this way. Don't do this. Don't do that. And then we start to get specific because we think people are stupid, right? Okay, you keep betraying me. Do not go to this place where this person is that you keep betraying me with. Do not steal from me out of this drawer because this is how you keep making me upset. It's not your responsibility to control somebody else's behaviors. You are only draining yourself. Usually after the draining, we start saying, you're not allowed to be in my life anymore. Bye. Boom. Bye. Get out. I hate you. Blah, blah, blah. Whatever. And then we end up letting somebody else come in our life and do the exact same thing. Listen, guys, I have lived it. I am living it. I am like, my whole motive in this podcast is to teach people how to reach healing, knowing that they're in, how do we come out of these dark places? How do we come from these spaces that are hard and still have hope and find joy and learn and heal? Guys, we can't keep letting the same people come into our lives doing the same things. And the sucky part about it, the part that I hate to say in this microphone, is it's not always their fault. Sometimes it's our fault, okay? And I hate even to put fault on it. Let's even take back that word. Sometimes it's not their responsibility. Sometimes it's our responsibility. You know? All right, here's another thing. Quote from Lisa. Boundaries are not meant to shove people away, but to protect the best of who we are. Yo! Let me say it again. Boundaries are not meant to shove people away, which is what we do when we get angry, right? But they're not meant to shove people away. They're meant to protect the best of who we are. They're meant to protect our joy. They're meant to protect our space. They're meant to protect our peace, right? And so when somebody is straight up in your face telling you, I have no desire to protect your peace, and you say, come on in. Guys, I've done it. People have straight up, with their actions and their words, or either or, has said, hey, Nisha, let's take friendship, for example. I have no desire to be a friend to you the way in which you need it. And I say, great, stop that. Stop not having a desire and have the desire to be a friend to me, please. And I'll be at your house tomorrow. What? And granted, it's not that literal, right? It's all, it's what my actions said. Not what literally came out of my mouth, but what their actions said and what my actions said. What? So I'm literally in that moment saying, I choose not to protect my peace. I choose not to protect my joy. I choose not to protect my space. I choose not to even respect what you're saying. You're saying you're not capable. And here's something else I choose. To be so worn down in this relationship with you that I act a fool in every other relationship. Because I'm so mad at you that now I'm telling everybody else what to do to not act like you. And now the chaos ensues, guys. Not meant to shove people away. It's meant to protect you. So in that scenario, for me to say, great, you're saying you cannot be the type of friend that I need. Maybe let's just be people that check on each other. Maybe let's just be people who get coffee every once in a while. And you don't even have to explicitly say that. You can just back on up. And in your mind say, here's my boundary. But if that was somebody that, would feel that heavily if you backed on up, right? You could also respect that person also by saying, hey, because of what, because I need to protect, my joy and I don't want to build any type of resentment towards you. I think that for now, I would like our relationship to look like this. How do you feel about that? And, okay. So right now I would like our relationship to look like this. We get coffee every month just to check in on each other. And if ever you feel like some of the things that I need, like I need someone who's actually going to want to spend time with me. I need someone who's actually going to, A, B, C, or E, then you let me know. And maybe we can try again on being closer friends. That never happens. No harm, no foul. That's only if you're wanting to get coffee with this person. If you don't, then don't even suggest that. You know what I mean? But it should never feel like a punishment. And it should never feel like you're telling someone else what to do. It should never feel like you are trying to puppet someone. Like, oh no, you're going to hang out with me every Friday. No, they just said they can't. They don't want to. They don't desire to. Oh no, you're going to come to every birthday party I have. No, they just said they couldn't. Oh no, if you want to be my friend, you're going to do this. They said they couldn't. So why are you continuing to put stipulations on it? They couldn't. It's now your responsibility to move your boundary. You know what I mean? And every single time we start to get into that control, every single time that we start to get into that puppeting, we are hyper extending ourselves for people who are not ready to carry the responsibility of the level of access you're trying to give them. Whew! And it is frustrating. It is frustrating, guys. But to have true boundaries without trying to control or punish or manipulate somebody else, you have to let go. You have to let go of control, and you have to let that other person choose. And you have to choose for yourself what is healthy is. And sometimes what is healthy is and what protects you cannot be your protection, your joy, and that person with the same level of access. So that's kind of my spiel. I know I'm definitely going to finish this conversation over on Patreon. If there's anything that needs to be cut out, it will definitely be over on Patreon. The entire conversation will be over on Patreon. But I just want to leave you guys with that. Like, if you're struggling with boundaries, for sure, like, look more into it. There's plenty of books on boundaries, what they are and what they are not. And just to recap, boundaries are not controlling. Boundaries are not manipulating. Boundaries are not punishments. Boundaries are not walls. They are doorways. They are, trying to think of the word. I would even call it like a checkpoint. But the boundaries always have a throughway. Boundaries always have an exit and an entrance. Just because someone is your husband does not mean that they cannot have a lower level of access. Just because somebody is your family does not mean that they can't have a lower level of access. They entered, they can exit. They can enter again, they can exit again. This is not permanent. But I'm here to let you guys know that you have more control than you think you do. Promise you, you do. And boundaries are hard. If you don't get it around this first go around, listen to the podcast again. If you still don't get it, go listen to Lisa Turkers. If you still don't get it, listen to Brene Brown. If you still don't get it, go get another book. Guys, we gotta get this. And I understand that I'm not for everybody, but boundaries are for everybody. So let's get it, guys. Let's get it. I'm excited for you guys to listen to this podcast. I'm excited to continue on this journey with you about learning about what boundaries are and what they are not, and really, really, really getting into a space where we can protect our space and protect our joy and protect our peace. Because, guys, it's not worth it if we can't. Okay? Period. So, how do you feel? guys, I feel like I have a long way to go. But yeah, how you feel? Head over to IG. Let me know how you feel about boundaries. Let me know what boundaries you're enforcing, what you learned from the podcast, whatever. Share with me. It's over there. IG is Unleash the Niche. That's Unleash THA Niche. And that's my handle on IG. At me, whatever you got to do. Also, you can also tell me on Patreon. That's patreon.com. Patreon is Patreon. patreon.com/Unleash the Niche. That's Unleash THA niche.com. Come over there, be a part of the Niche gang. We're going to be talking about boundaries over there as well, most likely. Yeah. Man, I have so much more to talk to you guys about. I have so many more podcasts in the works. I'm cooking up all the content. Just be ready for it. I'm not stopping. Even though I struggle, I'm not stopping. So I think that's it. Maybe we can impact the world or something. I'll leave you with that. Bye.